We all know that this year's COD is going to be the sequel to 2019's Modern Warfare, and some things from 2019's COD just needs to stay in that COD and not find its way to this year's COD, and I think we all know some of those things. Now, with this year's COD, I'm not getting my hopes too high because after the dumpster fire of Modern Warfare 2019 and how unenjoyable that game was, my expectations are honestly lower than any other COD. That being said though, I do think there are some changes that can be made to this year's COD that will make it fun for everyone. The most apparent thing that I believe that needs to be changed is the fundamental design of the game. In Modern Warfare 2019, the entire multiplayer was designed for new players and to give these new players who are inevitably bad the easiest time and give them the opportunity to get kills and kill streaks they should absolutely not have. I think that if Infinity Ward were to just stick to that normal COD formula and not design the game around bad players, then more people would enjoy the game more. Obviously, you don't got to make the game incredibly unwelcoming to new players like the Jetpack CODs did, but don't make it unwelcoming to returning players and the players that keep the franchise alive. The newer players obviously do need a place to get on their feet and actually get a feel for the game, and naturally the days of just being stomped out until you become better have passed by, so in return I propose that we do some of these things, which I have been saying since Cold War. Now, my first recommendation is to have a specific players for new players that they have to play in, or if that's not good enough, we can make it where if you have a KD of let's say 0.5 to a 0.7, you're in very strict skill-based brackets, and then everyone that has a 0.8 or higher KD, you put them in a pool of lobbies like old CODs. Therefore, the bad players that have really low KDs because they're just not good, they get the really strict skill base, so they're playing with people their skill level, and then people that are better at the game, let's say, just people that know what they're doing, they can play with a variety of players. And along with the topic of making the game more accessible to experienced players and not just bad players, please, I am begging to make the time to kill higher. I know Infinity Ward is afraid of guns that don't kill in 0.1 seconds, but for the love of God, please just make it where you can react in time and have it where you're not basically one shot constantly. It doesn't have to be like Cold War high, but it could be anywhere between like let's say Black Ops 2 and Vanguard. Those two time to kills in those games are honestly would be great for this year's Modern Warfare, where it's not too high but it's not too small. And while I don't like the time to kill in Vanguard, I will say it's at least better than Modern Warfare 19, so if you're going to lean towards anything, at least go with Vanguard's time to kill. Now, with this all being said though, please listen to pro players' advice more as well. They know what they're talking about, and it's annoying when they don't listen and Infinity Ward just does their own thing. Now, Infinity Ward has been known to not really listen to the community, but I think if they would just consider community feedback more, their games would be a lot more fun. Think about it, if you were to ask someone what their least favorite COD is, most likely they're going to give you an Infinity Ward title, for example Ghost, Infinite Warfare, or Modern Warfare 2019. And I think a reason a lot of these games got so much hate and are hated besides the actual deserved hate is because Infinity Ward refused to listen to the community feedback and improve on the game. But all of these are just basics though. Since the game is rumored to have a 2-year life cycle, it is vital they don't screw up on launch. That means making sure the game runs on launch, there's no stupid bugs that ruin the fun immediately, and that the content in the game is good. That means more than 8 maps, more than 5 modes, and more than 20 guns, and so on. And one thing I think they could also benefit from is a ranked play on launch. I know it scares Infinity Ward when they think about competitive integrity with their games and players that aren't bad at the game, but having a ranked play on launch is something that would please almost every competitive player. You really don't have to do much either. You have a system like Vanguard that is great, and all you have to do is copy and paste it into this new Modern Warfare. Eventually iron out the mode with the GAs, and I think everyone will be happy and satisfied with what you did. Literally zero work, just copy and paste like they did from Black Ops 4 to Cold War. And speaking of happiness as well, please remove slide cancelling and tac sprinting. Removing slide cancelling is something I would much rather see gone than tac sprinting, but having both removed is something I'm also fine with as well. Now, I went way more in depth on why I want slide cancelling removed in another video, so make sure you watch that after this one if you want to hear my argument on that, but just know slide cancelling should be removed, and it would also save a couple thousands of controllers. Tac sprinting though, it's an interesting topic since it makes the game more fast paced and it isn't all that bad, but preferably I would rather see a normal sprint at the speed of tac sprinting. Now, if they do keep tac sprinting, I honestly wouldn't be too upset, I won't lie, but slide cancelling though, whew, that needs to go. One last thing though that I do want to speak about is the combat pacings from Vanguard. While Vanguard isn't the forefront of innovation in Call of Duty, their combat pacing feature is something I would love to see return. Having specific lobbies you can search for is something I love. Being able to just queue fast-paced 12v12 only is something I love doing in slower-paced games like this. And if you want slower-paced gameplay, all you have to do is go into that tactical combat pacing. So, if we are to keep anything from Vanguard, combat pacing is the moves. Of course, there's other things I want to see with this game as well, like a variety of weapons and maps, and an actual good mastery camo that's preferably animated, but I feel like all of these are just common sense things that shouldn't need to be mentioned. Let me know of anything else you want to see in this new game though, and if you're excited for the game as well in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, make sure not to leave without leaving a like and subscribing for more, but until next time, see ya.